All right, so welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Forest Shuffle Strategies. Now, for this video, I'm going to be talking about the bat strategy. This is my favorite strategy in the game. This is the one I try to focus on the most if I get it, but while it's a pretty powerful one, this is a strategy you potentially will want to work on another strategy at the same time as this one. This one is also one of the hardest strategies to get to work in your favor. It's one of the hardest ones to get to work in your favor for sure. So this is only good if you've already got a good starting hand with at least a bat or two to start with. Okay, so let me talk about this particular strategy for this video. So the object of the bat strategy is, well, let's read the card. With this one, it will give you 5 points, but you have to have 3 different species of bats. This game has 4 different species of bats. You just need 3 of the 4 to do this, but you're going to need at least 3. And if you don't get at least 3 different species of bats, then all your bats are worth 0 points. So that's not good. So obviously you're going to want to try to get as many bats as you can. Let's talk about one of the ways that will help you actually help this out in this strategy. So the raccoon is, let's say you're having a hard time getting those bats. You started with a couple of bats maybe, but you're not finding any other species of bats. The raccoon, and you have the raccoon in hand. The raccoon will basically discard any cards you want from your hand, which will give you points in your cave, which is good, which is always good. So the raccoon would definitely help with your strategy in this one. And then you obviously get to draw the same amount of cards that you discarded. So potentially you could draw some more cards that are the bats that you need for this strategy, for sure. So the raccoon is a good one. That would be quite useful if you are going the bat strategy route, okay? But probably the most useful card in the bat strategy is getting a gnat. Because you see, if you play a gnat, then you get to play any number of bats for free, okay? So the gnat is free to play. That would make all of your bats free to play. Normally a bat costs a card. You have to discard a card to play a bat. But the gnat would let you play all of your bats for free. So that's powerful. So if you can track down a gnat. Now, some players might wait until they have at least 3 different species of bats before they play the gnat, right? But there are at least 3 gnats in the game. So you could potentially get another gnat. So if you have already 2 species of bats, the gnat is still a good idea to play, because you can still obviously try to find those other bats at some point, and will obviously free up your hand so you can draw more cards, because you are limited to the amount of cards you are allowed to have in your hand. So still, if you manage to get a bunch of bats, you could definitely play them for free thanks to the gnat. And obviously that means you're going to need to track down the rest of the bat clan, the rest of the bats. So the greater horseshoe bat is over here. Then we have the brown-eared bat, okay? Then we have the barbastelle bat, okay? So if you have that equation already, that means this bat would be worth 5, this bat would be worth 5, that bat would be worth 5. So that's 15 points. And they're cheap to play and potentially free to play if you get yourself another gnat, especially. And then, of course, we also have the Bechstein's bat as well. You could obviously get this one potentially as well. That could potentially be useful. Now, there is one other card that would work really well with the bat strategy, and that is the dormouse. The dormouse here will actually score you 15 points if it's on the same tree as a bat. But unfortunately, all of the dormice are attached to bats. So while you might be tempted to play this early, you should not play this until you have at least 3 species of bats, because then you're just really kicking yourself in the shin for sure. So while this is powerful, you need to focus on your bats first. And then if you've got at least 3 bats, and then you have some some European fat dormouse sitting around somewhere, then hey, you've got yourself a valid strategy here with some potential for scoring multiple points for sure. You know, here's another dormouse here on the opposite side, so it could go over here, for instance, and hey, look at that. Now we're getting 30 points for two dormice cards. I mean, combined. So that's a pretty valid strategy for sure. Now, if you are going the bat route, another card you might want to get your hands on is this this tree frog, because it's going to score you 5 points for every gnat you have. So hey, you got something now to put underneath your tree that would work well with this strategy. Now, with that said, this strategy on its own isn't super powerful. Yes, you could potentially get a few more bats than what you have here, because there's actually 3 of each of the different bat species. There's 3 of each. So that means there's 3, there's 6, there's 9, and then there's 12. Okay, there's 12 bats in the game. So 5 times 12 is potentially a lot of points for sure. But in the end, the bat strategy on its own isn't super powerful unless you're playing the short game and you manage to get all of this before the short game is up. Even still, it's not super powerful, even if you're including the tree frog here, or if you have a couple of tree frogs and a couple of gnats. So another strategy that works well with this strategy is actually the amphibian strategy, which we'll talk about in the next video. The bat strategy and the amphibian strategy are 2 strategies that work really well in tandem. They work really well together, especially if you're having a hard time getting these bats. You could potentially be working on the amphibian strategy, and then maybe just have the bat strategy as a potential second option, you know, if you finally do manage to get the cards you need for it, right? So we'll talk about the amphibian strategy in the next video. So I hope you guys liked this one. I hoped it was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video, which is the amphibian strategy.